Mataji.
25.
Really, in this team, I have done till 3.25.
Yes.
So 3 okay, you can say behind me, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, Karma Yoga. So between verse number 13 to 17 to 35, Krishna discusses Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga Vishishyate. So he's discussing Karma Yoga between all these verses. And verse number 25, is it the description? This is an example of a person that who is Krishna conscious, but then they see others who are not Krishna conscious. What should you do to them? What should we do to them? Should we condemn them? Oh, your life is not successful because you are not Krishna conscious. Your work is so small. We should do like that. Krishna says no. As the ignorant perform their duty with attachment to results, similarly, the learned may also act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. So rather than doing a talking, we show it by example. Okay, we perform action. We show it by example that, okay, you should act like this. And Krishna conscious person is very attractive. Like we can have example of Srila Prabhupada. His actions are very attractive. So many people just adore Prabhupada, even if they don't know, even if they don't follow, even if they don't take initiation in ISKCON, they still adore Prabhupada. My Guru Maharaj was telling about a owner of a Fortune 5 company in America, the world's most traveled man, Peter Burwash. He was talking about this person called Peter Burwash. He was a tennis player and then he became a multimillionaire by this business. Peter Burwash didn't take initiation, but he met Prabhupada and then he's been chanting 16 rounds and spent so much time with Srila Prabhupada. Or George Harrison. You see, George Harrison was a billionaire, but he didn't take initiation from Prabhupada, but he couldn't leave Prabhupada either. So what is it in Prabhupada that I actually gifted the manor, Bhaktivedanta Manor in England was given by George Harrison as a gift. What made people do so much for Prabhupada? What is the attraction? Because Prabhupada is sincere. He's teaching by his example. He's just not sitting and talking. He's doing that also, but he's more working, like more engaged. So that's how we got to be. Not like the instructions are for others and not for me. It's not like that. Krishna consciousness is quite opposite. Krishna consciousness, the leader of the movement is most busy. If you go to any temple, the temple president will be most busy person. In material world, what happens if somebody is on a higher post, they would like to rest. Like politicians, we can take. If there is a war going on in the country, they will be hiding behind their security guards in their house and they will send poor public to fight, right? They won't go. But in Krishna consciousness, it's quite the opposite. The leader goes and fights the most, and everyone else follows. We follow because that's the standard of Krishna consciousness. Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Okay, these next verses are very nice. All right, so you can raise your hand who would like to read. We have less attendance today. Harshita Mataji, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
My Krishna.
Text 26. Na buddhi bedam janavet ajnanam karma sanghinam jasoyet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samarkan. Sorry.
Samacharan. You can read in Hindi.
Samacharan. Sorry Mataji with that pronunciation. Let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. Purport: Vedas to Sarver Aham Eva Vedya. This is the end of all Vedic rituals. All the rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for the understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. Through sense regulations, however, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in the activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for the sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, still a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals, because in direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results simply by following the prescribed duties of a particular person. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Okay, so so this is another same thing Krishna is saying, that the wise not to disrupt. Let not the wise disrupt the minds of ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. So the lowest stage of life is animalistic life, where a person lives just to gratify the senses. No rituals are observed, no oblations are done, nothing. Not forget about Krishna consciousness, but just in the name of ritualistic ceremony, that is also not done. That is animalistic kind of a life. That life is condemned. That the person is not even a human being. But here, Krishna is mostly talking about a person who is in the mode of passion and who's doing karma kand. Karma kand means that person does Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, but the goal is the goal is to fulfill their own desire. Somebody does some homas or some yagyas so that they can get their own desire fulfilled by doing that. But above the karma kand is, maybe I should show you this. Above the karma kand comes karma yoga. I will show you this ladder. This is a question where we discuss about, this is a verse where we discuss about the yoga ladder. And we can discuss it many points. But to specifically, let me show you what I'm talking about. So then comes the Karma Yoga. Now, Karma Yoga has two subdivisions, Sakam Karma Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. Sakam Karma Yoga means that person is very attached to the work and the fruit of work. This is the one. Animal life, two-legged, unregulated sense gratification. Karma Kand, they are doing some ritualistic ceremony, so it could be called as a regulated sense gratification. And above that is Sakam Karma Yoga. Sakam Karma Yoga means person is attached to the work and the fruit of the work. Both they are attached, but they want to give some percentage of their fruit to Krishna for Krishna's service. That's Sakam. So means serving Krishna consciousness through the periphery, not to be very thick with the movement. And Nishkam Karma Yoga is fruit, they work and they also, Nishkam Karma Yoga, the person works and renounces the fruits of work all for Krishna, but there is still an attachment. What is the attachment? The attachment is that the person is attached to the type of work that they want to do. They're not ready to do everything and anything. Let's say that there is a painter. Okay, the painter still wants to paint only. Paint, but they have taken a vow that they are not going to paint anything other than Krishna's pastimes or Krishna's devotees. But they are still attached to the idea that they are painter, which is fine. So they are working and then they renounce the whatever result comes, they're also renouncing it for Krishna's sake. Higher than that is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga means that they cultivate knowledge. And knowledge, when it is like when person gets a lot of knowledge about Krishna, then automatically the renunciation develops. It's automatic thing. This is okay, one starts to understand. See, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya. So, Jnananjan Shalakaya, the eyes get decorated with the vision of the knowledge by the mercy of the spiritual master. So, they renounce all work and the fruit of work. But that then there is inactivity, kind of an inactivity, right? And that's where most of the Mayavadis are stuck. They're stuck in Jnana Yoga. But above that is Dhyana Yoga, which is sixth chapter, where person is actively engaged in controlling the senses, controlling the mind, controlling the breathing. You know, the ashta, the 8 limbs: yam, niyam, asan, dhyan, pranayan, pratyahar, all those. I don't know the sequence, but uh, their person is actively engaged in controlling the mind with a aim to be in samadhi. And samadhi means that one is completely fixed in the conception of the super soul. By doing that again and again and coming to the platform of samadhi, then that person will come out and become like Dhruv Maharaj. Like Dhruv Maharaj was practicing Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. When he saw Krishna, then what happened? Then he actually emerged out as a bhakti yogi, where a person wants to work in devotion, meditation, knowledge, realization, everything is going on. The person is very active. Ultimately, yoga means bhakti yoga. Yoga has no more and no other meaning, but all these steps are taken uh, for coming to the platform of bhakti yogi. Now, everyone doesn't have to go through these steps. We can directly come from animalistic life to bhakti yoga directly. We don't have to go through all these things. But in general, people go through these things. That is why this verse is there, that let not the wise disturb the minds of ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. Let them work. Then, if they're working, let's say, okay, but then at least tell them about Karmakand or Sakam Karma Yoga, either of the two. Because Karmakand also, whenever they're doing some ritualistic ceremony, they are actually developing an idea that there is someone superior. I am not independent and I am dependent on someone superior to me. It could be demigod, but just by performing that one day, may not be in this life, they will come to the next stage. But if somebody is in Bhakti Yogi platform, then they can see which platform is the other person in. They can see, they have a vision. And according to whatever platform they are in, they will try to engage them. They're not going to say, oh, this particular thing is smaller and Bhakti Yoga is the superior most. They will let Krishna work. Krishna has been waiting lifetimes. He is waiting for us so that we can turn our face towards Krishna. So we have to be patient. We cannot be impatient and shove down Krishna consciousness down somebody's throat when the other person is not ready. But if the other person is ready, then give them, and tell them, chant Hare Krishna. Everything else is taken care. You don't really have to do anything separate than chanting Hare Krishna and eating Krishna prasadam and associating with the devotees. Okay, but because the conditioned soul does not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. This is Karmakand. Karmakand, this is what I'm showing. Regulated sense gratification. Is it clear? You have to be clear because there's going to be question on this. And the realized soul on Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. Let's say that there is a farmer. The farmer is tilling the field and is very attached to the idea that this year when I'll get the crops or the produce for Krishna, then I'm going to sell that produce and I'm going to be so rich. And I'm going to get so many assets in my family or for my family. That's what they're attached to, right? Now a devotee comes and devotee can see that this is nothing more than sense gratification. Actually, it should be engaged in Krishna service. So what are they going to say? Oh, your farming is impure, leave farming business. No, they will say, very nice, you're working so hard to get all this produce and you have already made some plans. I see that. But may I please request you something? When you, even if you're going to sell the crop, you're going to keep some for your own home for eating. And you will eat, and your family will eat. But may I request you to offer a portion of this in prasadam to Krishna and then eat. So they are ready only for that much. They're not ready for giving a lot to Krishna. And so engage them in that much. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes,
Hi.
Mataji. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, the next, thank you, Hi Krishna. Next two verses are description of a Vimudhatma and Atma, which is engaged in Krishna service. Very nice verses. Roja Mataji, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, can I add a thing here?
Yeah, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Yeah, in South India, for instance, the farmers who toil all 6 months in a year, they get the harvest of paddy, for instance. And this is being offered as a sacrifice to the Lord, Surya Narayana. They worship him at the end of the harvest and offer whatever they got, the produce. The produce is offered to the Lord. So it is work and devotion there.
Very nice.
Thank you.
What is Surya Narayana?
Surya Narayana. Surya, that is sun god is worshipped as Surya Narayana.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds like Karma Kand, but better than just not doing anything.
Devotion, yes, devotion is there towards the Lord. Because Narayana says inside Surya also. Sun has nothing of his own because the Lord stays in him. He is sun. Otherwise, he is nothing.
Right, Prabhu, but this is not direct worship, na. Why do you have to worship sun and inside the sun there is Narayana? Why can't you worship directly Narayana? But I'm appreciating that at least there is a culture.
Yeah, that is because at the lowest stage it has started.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, if someone, that's fine, right? From this verse we understand. Okay, Roja Mataji.
Hare
Prakriti.
Krishna
Oh,
Mataji.
this verse everyone has to memorize.
Yeah.
Okay.
3.27, everyone has to. Anybody who's not memorized, and all of you will have to recite this verse. Oh, by the way, can we meet next Saturday? Because I'm working Saturday night, so Sunday will be difficult for me. And I'm going to spend good amount of time listening to each one of you about this verse, and whoever cannot recite this verse will be virtually punished. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone has to memorize this 3 point.
Yes.
I don't know how you're going to memorize, but figure out. I have seen some devotees, they record on their phone, and when they're brushing their teeth or eating their food, they keep on hearing, or they're driving their car, they keep on hearing, or somebody. I memorize verses that I write on a paper, and when at the time of my sleep, I keep on reciting. This is the verse. You have to
Mataji, I
figure
think
out.
already you had asked us to memorize this shloka a few weeks back. You told
Yeah, but
3.27.
everybody is. I'm not getting 100% result from this group. You all are. You are the oldest group I have since August 2019. Oh, no, 20. August, right? And how many teams participated? One team and one more person. So your participation and your enthusiasm is going down. You're becoming too familiar with me. So, okay, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Prakriti kriyamanaani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vinuddatma kartaham iti manyate. Translation. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by the nature. Purport. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convicted by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all the credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nescience. He does not know that the gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna. In Krishna consciousness, uh, the in Krishna consciousness, the ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Hrishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Okay, so these
Krishna.
are the symptoms I was reading with Achitas the other day, and so 6 symptoms are described in this particular verse for a person who's Vimudhatma. Mudha means dull-headed. A literal meaning of Mudha is ass, a donkey, like dull-headed. Vimudha means specially dull-headed, specially Vimudha. So, prakrite kriya manani, by the gunhe karmani sarvashaha, ahankara vimudhatma karta aham iti manyate. The bewildered soul, under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities, which are in actuality carried out by the nature. This is the introduction in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna starts speaking about that who is the doer. So far, we did not hear who is the doer, right? Maybe there's a glimpse in chapter 2 that who is the doer. But in chapter 3, the detailed study when we start by the subdivisions of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness, or Ashtanga Yoga, or so on and so forth. This is the first verse, a very important verse. Over here, there is only a description that the person, I am not the doer, or spirit soul is not the doer. The actions are happening by the material nature under the supervision of Krishna. But in chapter 5, which is also called as Karma Yoga, or Yoga in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will talk about the 3 doers, which is quite directly linked to this particular verse. 3 doers. There Krishna will say that there are 3 doers. One is the spirit soul, another one is the super soul, and another one is the material nature. What are the contributions of each to the activity? Then the contribution is spirit soul desires. That's all. We can just desire, I want to do this. Krishna, sitting in the heart, observes that this particular spirit soul still has a desire to do activity like this. So, under this order of Krishna, material nature brings forward the things in front of us to fulfill the desire. Many years ago, Namanisha Prabhu, I was listening to his class about this. I think it was 2013-14. He said something which is stuck in my head. He said, we don't believe in it. Even though we are reading it, we actually don't believe. But he said Krishna does that. Let's say that if somebody wants to be a very nice devotee of Krishna and the desire is sincere, automatically that person will end up with the devotees. Automatically there'll be some books or acharyas, everything will come in front of us. And then he was looking at me and he said, if somebody wants to be a very famous doctor, then Krishna will send forward a very complicated cases for you to solve. And automatically you will get bewildered that you solved so many cases and you are a nice doctor. So see how it works. I was like, whoa, this is like direct attack on the false ego. Or somebody wants to be a good lawyer. so that means they solve very complicated cases. So they think that they're a good lawyer, but what is happening? They're desiring that I want to be good at my work and I want to solve very complicated cases. Krishna in the heart is looking, and then Krishna in the heart is going to direct the material nature, bring forward complex things in their life. So they end up getting, but then they think that, oh, I am such a nice lawyer, I'm such a nice scientist, I'm such a nice PhD doctor, whatever we people are upadhi we are wearing. Actually, everything is happening by the material nature. Or I am such a rich. So actually, what happens is spirit soul is bewildered that, oh, I am the doer. Why is the spirit soul bewildered? We have discussed this many times. Why is the spirit, can you give me the reference? Why is the spirit soul bewildered? Actually, spirit soul is supposed to be unbridled, fixed and pure, but why is it bewildered now? Or how come it became bewildered? Because why questions are kind of hard questions. How come it became bewildered now? Yes, Sneha and Sapna's hand is raised, but more hands, please. And the co-host can unmute themselves directly. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Sakshi Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Sakshi Mataji. Yes, please go ahead. Make me proud. Bewildered.
Mataji, this is my understanding. I may go wrong. Soul's actually true nature is to be connected to Krishna all the time. So when the soul is here and he gets entangled in many modes of nature, and actually the soul's real need is to have connectivity with Krishna in whatever relationship they were in Golok Vrindavan. So the soul is always bewildered looking for Krishna.
Okay, because of the forgetfulness of Krishna. That's what I'm understanding what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay,
Mataji.
very nice, Mataji. Thank you. Shobha Malli Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hi, Krishna.
Because as soon as spirit soul will come under the Maya
Mataji, your
illusion,
voice is
it
cracking.
enters into the material world. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I can hear you, but there's a lot of static.
Can you hear me, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes.
Mataji, when the spirit soul always is under the Maya, the illusion, when it comes in contact with the material world, it becomes impure and start desiring.
Okay.
Mataji?
Mataji, yeah, I'm listening.
That's all, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Shubhamalli, Mataji. Ishant, sorry, Krishna.
Mataji, this is
Ishant.
Reshmi. Mataji, this is Reshmi. I have logged in through my son's ID.
So you're
Reshmi here.
dependent. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Mataji, I think because we are marginal potency, that is why there is a confusion. Marginal
Okay.
potency of the Lord.
So we can go here or there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, Harshita.
Mataji, according to my understanding, is that because we carry a lot of impressions, whether it's from past life or this life, because we have conditioned our soul in certain ways, so we are kind of bewildered and we forget what is the truth of life, which is to be in Krishna consciousness. Impressions
Okay.
that we carry,
Okay.
which are deep rooted. That's why we get
Yeah.
bewildered.
That's a nice analysis. But we could have also, the further question is that how come we got into so many lifetimes? But that's
So,
nice.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kiran Grover Mataji.
Mataji,
Somebody
because
is,
we
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Mataji, because we have desires and we want to be the enjoyer. Because of that attitude, we are getting
Okay.
bewildered.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Vasudevan Prabhu, your hand is raised.
My understanding is there's a difference between the super soul and the conditioned soul. The super soul is Satchit Anand, so also the conditioned soul. But there is vast of difference. Plenty of difference is there between the super soul and the conditioned soul, which remains as a fragment of the super soul. And the conditioned soul has to react with the three gunas, and that's what is happening. And unless he surmounts the activities and restrict himself to the sattva guna, he remains bewildered because he doesn't know what he's doing actually. He gets confused. That's what has happened in the case of Arjuna in the battlefield. Isn't it?
Arjuna, okay, we'll come to it. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Madhavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I think the soul is bewildered because we are in the illusion that we are the body, and we have forgotten the fact that we are the eternal servants of Krishna, and we have to serve him. And our main aim here, we have got this human thing just to serve him and go back to Godhead.
So false ego, the false identity. We have identity crisis.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the main
Thank
thing,
you,
Mataji, according to me. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, Vijanti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we are always attached to the body and all the sense organs, and we should work with the mind and intelligence and reach the super soul and not be carried away by the external material natures like I want big car, big home, big. We should be satisfied with little of whatever we are having and give that little to Krishna and accept. This is what I know, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. It's more like a process. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys this resource. So you are in detail class, and some of you have been with me since August, right? So how many months? 7 months. Start talking like Prabhupada wants us to talk. Give reference. Can you all? Yes, Sapna.
Mataji, you asked this question, right? Why the spirit soul is bewildered.
How come it became? How come it became?
I got this thought immediately, so I just want to share it, Mataji. Which is our spirit soul is growing along with us, like one by one. As soon as like when we from newborn to from toddler to kid, like that, the spirit soul is also growing along with us. So each and every material desires we have, our spirit soul is getting influence under that. Is it like that?
Spirit soul is not growing. The spirit soul remains 1/10,000 part of a tip of a hair. It just uncovers layers and layers of consciousness. Okay, for example, have you seen a coconut which is freshly taken out from the tree? Have you ever seen it?
Yes, Mataji.
So when somebody's opening a coconut, they first remove the husk, then they come to the next layer, and then they come to the pulp, and then they come to the water, right? There are layers and layers of the same fruit. Like that, the spirit soul is covered by layers and layers. It doesn't grow, it stays the same, but we uncover our layers of consciousness. So there is this very nice thought, but it's not in alignment to what Shastra speak. So Srimad Bhagavatam, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
You can see, but what about the others?
Yes,
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so open Srimad Bhagavatam. Please open. 3rd canto. Okay. Chapter number 26. Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Verse number 22. This is the one. Sakshaktam avikaritam shantitvam iti chetasaha. Vritibhir lakshanam proktam yathapam prakriti paraha. What is the meaning? After the manifestation of Mahatattva, these features appear simultaneously. As water in its natural state before coming in contact with earth is clear, sweet, and unruffled. So the characteristic trait of a pure consciousness are complete serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction. This is the nature of the soul: complete serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction. The soul knows nothing other than Krishna. Nothing. But how come? How come we are now working towards a memory? How come? Because we came in touch with the modes of nature. Prabhupada explains in this lecture, Prabhupada gives a very nice lecture that so if you catch a rainwater at the tip of a mountain, at the top of a mountain, it's pure. It doesn't need any purification. It's pure. You can just drink it like that. You know, the spring water. But if then the water comes down where the cloud over the city is hovering and it comes in touch with that cloud where the pollutants are there, or comes in touch with the earth where the pollutants are sitting, then it becomes polluted. Originally, it's not polluted. Similarly, when the soul comes to the material world, because it comes in a material world, it gets covered by the material modes, and it becomes like vimudha or ahankar or vimud atma or ahankar, and gets bewildered. But naturally, it is complete serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction. These are the properties of our real existence, each one of us. Swakshaktam, avikaritam, shantatvam, iti chetasaha. Okay, so pure. Soul is very pure. So bewildered soul is thinking that under the influence, this is the key word, under the influence of three modes of material nature, that when this is under the influence, then it gets bewildered. You know, for example, if we give medicine to or anesthesia to some patient, they get bewildered. Or if somebody, sometimes we have to give medicine to make them forget what they're going to go through, because it's going to be a painful experience. You know, for example, reducing a fracture, then we make them forget by giving medicine. Originally, if we are without medicine, they will have a memory, right? But we give them like that. Originally, I am very pure, but now I'm covered by the soul, by these material modes of nature, and I appear impure. And then I have all these identity crises and false ego and whatnot and what forth. So these are the 7 characteristics. Person in material consciousness is convinced by the false ego that he's the doer of everything. Number 1. This is number 1. Convinced, fully convinced that I am the doer. Have you heard of these statements? Tell me that I've done too much. I need a break. No, I work
Yes.
very hard. Right? So where is this coming from? What do you mean by you work so hard? It's the spirit, the bewildered. He does not know that the mechanism of body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of Krishna, a supreme Lord. Thinks that the body is all I have, but no, we don't know nothing about the body. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he's under the control of Krishna. 3rd number 4. Person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is a symptom of his nescience. Right? Like this bewildered soul, when they do something, don't they say that I work so hard, I am so smart, I am the Lord of all I survey, everybody should worship me, right? It's all madman speaking. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. And number 6, ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of senses in sense gratification, he is actually bewildered by false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. Becomes like a madman, like a hippie sitting on the road and loitering on the street and forgetting his relationship or her relationship with his or her family. They have chosen to become a hippie. They could have been with their family. Okay, so these are the 6 symptoms So if I ask, you should be able to answer. This is how you have to read Prabhupada's books. And then we are going to read the symptoms of a person who is leading a life of discipline in Krishna consciousness. Sapna, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, is your doubt clear? Spirit soul does not grow.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry, with regards
Yes.
to spirit soul does not grow, can I ask one thing I'm confused about? So
Yeah.
if the spirit soul doesn't grow, then Mataji, once when we talk about moksha, doesn't our spirit, a soul, which is the spirit, gets dissolved? So is it that we just stay that much and then we disappear into the God, or what is the growth? And so do we, the soul just stays the same, or it grows, or then it
Okay,
diminishes?
so we're in third chapter and you're talking about verse number 2 in chapter number 2. Yes, who's going to answer this question? Does the soul become dissolve in Krishna and then it disappears, or what happens? Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, the soul doesn't disappear or dissolve, Mataji. It takes birth, rebirth, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, the soul doesn't grow, or it doesn't do anything, but it takes the body, it takes form. It takes form every time. It doesn't grow.
Okay. Okay. I want some. Thank you,
Hare
Sapna.
Krishna Mataji.
I want. Yeah, 1 second, Shobhamali Mataji. I want someone, because I really I think I'm getting fried since yesterday. I really need someone to give me the references and talk from the shastras and not give their opinion. Shobhamali Mataji, please go ahead. Shobhamali Mataji, was it you or was it someone else? Because I was relying on the voice.
It was me, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
The soul will never die, Mataji, because it is eternal, ever eternal. And as we are part and parcel of Lord Supreme Lord Krishna, it is eternal. Soul doesn't die. Even though it doesn't get, you can't make it, but you can't cut it with a weapon. You can't put a fire to it. It can't be dissolved. It is always like mukti. Somebody wants to take the mukti or salvation. It may go to the Brahma Jyoti, what we say, the effulgence of Lord Narayana, or it will go to the back to Godhead Vrindavana, Goloka Vrindavana, where it is eternally serving Lord Krishna forever, which never returns to this material world again, never takes birth. According to our previous birth, what we do, punya, papa, according to that, we take the form of a body, and we suffer the same thing, whether we do the good deeds or bad deeds. It all depend on that, and we take the body accordingly. Like we can give the example of Bharat Maharaj, who at the time of death, he will remember the deer, and he will take the birth, the same, the next birth, he will be born as a deer, and he will realize, God bless him to realize that he did this mistake previous life. So he will serve and eat remnants of the sages, and he gets the...
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Yes, anybody else? I want references. Yes, Madhvi Mataji.
I think, Mataji, I don't know whether I can relate this, but this verse 2.12, which says, there was never a time...
Yeah.
There was never a point when I did not exist, the kings did not exist, you did not exist, and there never will be a time in future that we will not exist. So it just goes against the Mayavadi philosophy of merging into the Lord.
Yes. Harshita, thank you, Mataji. And thank you, Shobhamali Mataji. Harshita, where have you ever seen something that is completely dissolved and loses its identity? Anything around you and ever in your life? Is she here?
Yes, Mataji, I'm here.
Yeah. Have you ever had an experience of something in your life that you saw something getting merged in something and it just loses its personality or identity completely? Give me one example.
I can't think of anything as such, except air, but then we feel it. It's a sense.
air, what mixes in the air? There are particles of smell, right?
Yes.
But they are not getting mixed with the air. They're carried by the air. They're not mixed with the air.
True, Mataji. Yes.
So any experience, or anybody in this class, have you ever had an experience of something getting mixed with anything in the material world itself? Anything?
Can't think of anything. No.
Anybody else? So nothing. So because the real thing is existing in the spiritual world, nothing gets mixed with anything. And she gave a very good reference that never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in future shall any one of us cease to be. So it says that Krishna was existing, that's Krishna, you is Arjuna, and all these kings are other souls. So they were all existing as independent personalities. Krishna being the supreme, everyone else being the subordinate. It doesn't happen that I go to Krishna and then I merge in his body. If a mother is pregnant and she's carrying the child, is the child merging in the body of the mother?
No.
Does it ever? Baba, the child is inside the mother's body, is not merging.
She's just carrying the child. She's not merging.
Similarly, when we go to Krishna, we don't merge in the body of Krishna. We serve Krishna by our own identity. We serve Krishna. There is no question of being merging, ever, never. And he himself is declaring. Please read this verse today. This is your homework, 2.12.
Yes, Mataji.
The whole purport. Okay, so let's go ahead. Thank you. Sapna, please go ahead. Sapna?
Mataji, yes. I'm not able to see the screen.
Oh, sorry.
तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणाकर्मा विभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्ता इति मत्वा न सज्जते. Translation: one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that is his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge, and he realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of the material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reaction, which he considers to be the mercy of Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit. And for he knows also his own factual position in relationship with the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the verse number 28 was describing the Vimudhatma. Verse number 29 27 was describing the Vimudhatma. 28 is describing a Tattvavit. Tattvavit means one who understands or knows the absolute, knower of the absolute truth, not Vimudhatma. So what are their symptoms? That number one, person is convinced of his awkward position in the material world. They are convinced that I can look at myself. We can look at ourselves that I'm in a very awkward position. I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here. And not that they know that they're in an awkward place, but they also know that where they're supposed to be. So they know both. Knowledge is complete. They know where I'm not supposed to be, and they also know where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be with Krishna, but I am here now. Here I am. So they understand that he's a part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. I don't belong here. So, when somebody understands, unless and until somebody is understanding, they will not be able to work in devotional service. Why somebody is not engaging in Krishna consciousness, why somebody is not chanting Hare Krishna? Because they're not understanding this. They're not convinced that I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, they may be convinced for a moment when they're sitting with the devotees, but then they go to the material world and they start working in their regular life, regular activities of daily living, regular job, regular family, then they again forget. Why? Because it's bewildered now. From bewildered state coming to Tattva Vid, it takes work. It takes conscious effort. We cannot be, austerity is needed to attain anything in the material world, right? I cannot be just sleeping with a textbook under my head and everything will get transmitted in my brain. I have to open the book and read it. I have to do austerity. I have to get regulated and disciplined, right? So don't you think that going to Krishna is not going to require any kind of discipline? Huge amount of discipline, huge. But that discipline is going to give me eternal benefit. This material discipline gives a very temporary and flickering and circumstantial benefit. So I'm part and parcel of Krishna, and he knows his real identity. There is no crisis. This person is not in identity crisis. He knows his real identity. At part and parcel of Krishna, who is eternal bliss and knowledge. Three things, Sat Chitananda. He realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped. Number 3, by the material conception of life. Somehow or other, I am still like, I feel myself to be mother of this, father of this, employee of this, and all this, a citizen of this country. So many upadhis, so many. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Number 4. Number 5. He therefore engages. So before one, if you see someone engaged in Krishna's service sincerely, they have already crossed over these things. They have already, for example, in a classroom, when a teacher comes to teach, the students see the teacher. Okay, the teacher has come to teach us. But a person in knowledge will be able to understand that this particular person has already gone through a lot of training to be where they are right now. They have gone through schooling, they have gone through college, they have gone through all the certifications that are needed for them to stand there right now. Correct? But students, what they see, Vimudhatma, compare them to Vimudhatma. They see, okay, there is another human being who's like us, who has come in front of us. But a person in knowledge can understand that this person has already gone through so many layers and layers of training. So if I see someone sincerely engaged in Krishna consciousness, sincerely, there could be some defect. That's the separate thing. But sincerity is a factor. Sincerely engaged, then they have already understood all this thoroughly. Not that understood, but they're ready to act on the understanding. There is a lot of difference between what we understand and how we live our life. That gap is going to be narrowed between understanding and lifestyle in a person who's sincere. Krishna wants sincerity. We cannot cheat Krishna. We cannot be like, okay, let me do sense gratification, let me drink wine also, eat meat also, and let me chant Hare Krishna also. Okay, in the beginning, one can do that, but eventually, one has to become very cautious for their own benefit. So he therefore engages. Therefore, this word is therefore means it's a continuation from what was happening before. Engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. So the key word is naturally unattached. Person in Krishna consciousness is not struggling with the lower modes. Addiction is a function of the lower mode. I gave class in fifth chapter, one verse to my local group one time, and we were talking that how Prabhupada said no intoxication. Okay, now I'm not saying that, and I am not Prabhupada, I'm not Acharya, I'm nothing. Anyone who will come will be accepted in this class. But let's analyze from Prabhupada's vision. He said no intoxication, including tea and coffee. Okay, but we rationalize. I'm not drinking 10 cups of tea or coffee. I'm drinking only one. What is there in one cup, right? What's there in one cup? Prabhupada said no cups, nothing. But my mind is saying, well, Prabhupada said, and I am. But okay, there could be a strategy to give up, but then the desire has to be there that this is not needed. I don't need this. Soul doesn't need this. I want to be situated in my real situation, not circumstantial, not temporary, and this is artificial imposition on my consciousness. But a person who is not ready, still has some doubts, not convinced, will try to rationalize in the mind. We rationalize our actions all the time. Our mind is playing games all the time, right? Like, for example, there is a student, and the student says, okay, I have 6 months remaining for exams. I don't need to study every day, right? I can study last 2-3 weeks and I will be just fine. I don't need to study every day. So they're rationalizing that I'm a child and I'm supposed to play. Like that, we also rationalize that I am young. I don't need to study Bhagavad Gita. I'm just like 10 years old. What is there? You know, this is the book for somebody who is 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I still have 30 years before I touch this book. So rationalizing. That is why mind is only an enemy. When I ask this question, mind is enemy or friend, most common answer I get is both. But actually it is only one. Enemy. Have you ever had an experience that somebody is your best friend and at the same time sometimes there's your worst enemy, that they go and make plans behind you to damage you? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Either enemy or friend. Enemy. Don't make friendship with any mind right now. It's very dangerous, very precarious. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows this verse? Batao mujhe. Who knows this verse? One who knows the absolute truth in 3 different features, Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavut. What is this verse? Yes, advanced class. I have actually stopped making advanced groups in Bhagavad Gita because the participation is so enthusiastic. At least you all are continuing. So I'm very grateful to all of you. But maximum people drop out. 200 people in WhatsApp group, 20 people in the classroom. Where are the other 180 people? So much of work I have stopped making. Study Isopnishat, study Nectar of Instruction, study all those things. I mean, that's also important, but this is like the nectar, real core, right? We have to feel very privileged to be reading Prabhupada's books. Yes, what verse is this? Last part, the 7th symptom. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is giving it according to Srimad Bhagavatam. One who knows the absolute truth in 3 different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit.
2.2.
2.2 is Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam?
Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, Bhagavad Gita, there is a reference in 2.2. Very smart. But then what is the very, very smart, Neha? You're good. No wonder you're a lawyer. But what is the Bhagavad? This is the verse. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. And every one of you must know this verse. Everyone, each one. So the verse is 1.2.11. And what is the verse? Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmaniti paramatmaiti bhagwaniti shabdate. This is the verse that Prabhupada is saying here. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in 3 different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam. For he knows also his own factual position in relationship with Krishna. There is no doubt about the sambandha. Clear the difference between a Tattvavit and a difference between a Vimudhatma. Very clearly Krishna is explaining and spending so much time. And Prabhupada is spending so much time. When you read Prabhupada's purport, you get so much revelation, right? I have never come across anyone who writes like this. Any questions? Can we do one more? Okay, I'm going to carry on. So who's going to read now? Who wants to read? Shirisha Mataji, go ahead, please. Sirisha Mataji, go ahead, please.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Prakrite gunasamhudaah sajjante gunakarmasu tanakrit sannividho mam mandhanukrit sannivin vichalayet
Vinna vichalayet.
vinna vichalayet. Translation. Hare Krishna. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Purport. Persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. This body is a gift of the material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called Mandan, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. Ignorant men think of the body as the self. Bodily connections with other are accepted as kinsmanship. The land in which the body is obtained is the object of worship, and the formalities of religious rituals are considered ends in themselves. Social work, nationalism, and altruism are some of the activities for such materially designed persons. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Such bewildered persons may even be engaged in such primary moral principles of life, such as nonviolence and similar materially benevolent work. Those who are, however, enlightened in spiritual life should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So it's the second time Krishna is speaking, right? That we should not unsettle them. First time he spoke was verse number 25. Was it 25? That ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results. Similarly, learned may also act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people in the right paths. I think it was maybe 26. Let not the wise disturb the minds of ignorant. So he's speaking second time. This was 26th verse, and now again he's re-emphasizing. When something is repeated, it means it needs to be understood properly. That bewildered by the modes of nature. So refer to 3.26 also. 3.26, and then this is 3.29. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. You see, everything, Nectar of Devotion is such a nice book. In that book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada talks about, even in the, I think it's in the introduction, that everybody needs motivation to work. Everybody needs. So the motivation of a materialistic is the attachment to family, society, friendship, country, right? That's the motivation, that they need to work. Yes, the motivation could be positive or negative. That's different. But positive motivation is I need to work for them. Negative motivation is they need to appreciate me because I'm working. Okay. So, but there's got to be a motivation. Krishna conscious person is also working with the motivation. And what is their motivation? Their motivation is I am part and parcel of Krishna, and this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm actually supposed to do. It's not that, okay, I have to make adjustments in my life to do Krishna consciousness. I am supposed to be doing this. Everything else has to be adjusted. For them, Krishna consciousness is first and material activity is by the way activity. But for a person who is convinced that what they're supposed to do or what is their motivation, they will not have Krishna consciousness anywhere in their life. we have to see, is this verse in second chapter, what is night for the I think it is in the Nisha, what is night for self-realize is a daytime for ignorant, and what is daytime for self-realize is night for the ignorant. Is this verse in the second chapter? Does anyone know?
Yeah, Gudakesha. Where Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha.
That verse is different, Prabhu. That Gudakesha Arjuna is,
I think verse 9, I think. I'm not very sure.
is night for having spoken this just as a, that is no, but there is another verse that what is night for the self-realized is a day for, this is the translation, what is night for the self-realized is a day for person in material consciousness, and what is, and then vice versa. I will look up and share in your group, so we can understand that in that verse also, that what is the person in Krishna consciousness cannot understand how material activity is so tasty. What is the taste in that, right? Like when somebody tries to become serious in Krishna consciousness, and you may face it in your life too, that they say that actually your life is becoming so dull, you don't want to enjoy life anymore, you don't want to go here, you don't want to go there, right? And a person who is in Krishna consciousness cannot understand that how come going to cinema is enjoyment, how come it is enjoyment. I mean, there's another, you're just going to understand the misery of someone else. It's miserable. Right? It's miserable. All the stories, miserable stories sell the maximum. Or how come this wine thing coming on my tongue is going to give me enjoyment? They cannot understand. And a person on the other spectrum cannot understand that how come just chanting Hare Krishna and reading Bhagavad Gita is enjoyment? How come these only two things are going to give you so much of satisfaction and enjoyment? So it depends on what kind of a identity 2.69, I think it is. Gayatri Mataji are amazing. That I think that's depends. It depends on what I'm identifying myself with. Yes, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for introspective sage. 2.69. So this particular verse, Prabhupada talks about the same thing that I'm telling right now. Cannot understand. Either one cannot understand. So what should we do? Where should we be situated? Who is right? Whenever we have to make a decision in our life, what do we do? How do we make decision? How do a person in Krishna consciousness makes decision in their life? What is their criteria? For example, let's say tomorrow you have a question, whether I should do this or I should not do this. What are you going to do? Who are you going to refer?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Vidisha Mataji, go ahead.
If that decision helps us in our Krishna consciousness, then we should take that decision. Like the decision which helps us for the Krishna consciousness, like advancement. If it is not helping us to progress to Krishna consciousness, we should not take that decision.
Yes, Mataji, but then sometimes it is not that easy to decide.
Yes, yes.
So who will help? We need help.
Okay.
Krishna conscious devotees.
Mind and intelligence, and with association of devotees.
Mataji, mind is a whole problem why we are here. It cannot help right now. It cannot. You all have, yeah, association is different. Okay.
Guru. Mataji, Guru
and what else?
Shastra.
Yes, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Teamwork चाहिए सारे questions के लिए. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. 3 things. We check with the Guru, we check with the sadhus, the saintly people, which is the association that Mataji was talking about, and Shastras. What does they say? We cannot just make a decision on our own all the time. Sometimes it is quite clear. It is quite clear that, okay, am I going to go in a bar on Friday night, or am I going to read Bhagavad Gita and go? That confusion is not there anymore in the mind of a sincere person. That's quite clear, but there will be some situations where it is very tough to make choice. Prabhu told me one time, Namaste Prabhu, last year, we started this in June, but in March 2020, I was working with Prabhu on a project. Okay, and we were like working very intricately, and Prabhu actually had to travel to Chennai for that, so 2 times. But everything collapsed. I was so upset. And I was speaking to him, and he said to me that it is not easy to surrender to the will of Krishna. It's not easy. So that was like a Krishna like magic moment for me, that it is actually not easy to surrender to the will of Krishna. I want to do something, but Krishna wants me to do something else. And I want to do, but Krishna wants something else. So Krishna will make us surrender. Now, if you're sincere, then you have to surrender. Like Prabhu is sincere. Prabhu's life is full of austerities. Right? There's nothing else in their life other than Krishna consciousness. So then they are able to give in. But a person who is still lazy or mandan, like me, will not be able to understand and will become morose and sad and whatnot. All right. So bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves, fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them. This is very powerful. Should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to performers' lack of knowledge. Tolerate. I gave you a project on tolerance. This is also tolerance. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand, first of all, that Krishna loves me so much. Second of all, Krishna has been tolerating me for so long. Krishna is tolerating me. Krishna is a person. Krishna also has feelings. Krishna has feelings, that's why I have feelings. Krishna talks, that's why I talk. Krishna eats, that's why I have the ability to eat. So imagine for a second, I'm sitting with Krishna and Krishna like, oh my God, you're so tolerant. You're so tolerant of me. So many lifetimes I've passed. Sometimes I was a fish under the water, and sometimes I was flying in the air. Sometimes I was this cockroach in the house, or small ant, or this plant, or whatnot, microorganisms, whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. And Krishna kept on tolerating. Did not unsettle, just waited, patiently waited when I'll be ready. This is tolerance, heights of tolerance. People ask now, what is the limit of tolerance? This is the limit of tolerance. Millions and trillions of lifetimes. Person who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designation. This is called upadhi. Upadhi means material designation. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada describes one has to become Krishna conscious. How? Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. Tat paratvena nirmalam. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. One has to get rid of the upadhis. Get rid. I am this, I am that, I am this. Actually, Prabhupada describes when we sleep, we forget who we are. The minute we get up, because Krishna says, I give memory, we get reminded, oh, I am this. But in the sleep, I am forgetting what I am. So what are me? What am I? What is my real identity? The real identity should stay the same, even if I'm sleeping or awake. It should stay the same. I should not be forgetting. But we forget, and then we get up, and then we again put this upadhi. You know, some people get up and they shower and they put makeup on their face because they don't, they think that this will make them look better. I'm giving an analogy. I'm not finding fault. I'm giving an analogy. Similarly, we get up from the sleep and we put on this makeup on our designation, on our consciousness. One more layer. I am such a helpful person. I'm such a great man. I am so knowledgeable. I helped this person. Nothing. If Krishna takes away the memory, nothing. Krishna takes away the ability to work with the hands, nothing. Nothing. That's the designation. Nothing other than being part and parcel of Krishna. A body is a gift. It's a gift given to us by Krishna, especially human body. If somebody gives me very precious gift and I love my friend and my friend gives me very precious gift, I am going to take care of that gift very well, right? Because it reminds me of the affection that I and my friend share. So this body is a gift. So we must take care of the body, but only that much. Not like, okay, I can do this also, that also, this also, go on running here and there. Nectar of Instruction first instruction itself towards the end, where Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's description of the verse is given. I don't know if you all remember when we read Nectar of Instruction in December. It's written that person who's running here and there to collect the objects of their senses for sense gratification cannot understand Krishna. And such a person is called a lazy person, without understanding of the spirit soul. Our definition of lazy person is something else, but the definition of the Shastras about somebody being lazy is something else. Ignorant men. So many verses are coming in my mind. This Isopanishad also, verse number 3. Sura and Asura, when we studied the difference, there also Atmahan. Person is committing suicide. Atmahan. If they're not actually, whoever it may be, it's written there, whoever it may be. But if they're not cultivating Krishna consciousness, spiritual knowledge, they're committing suicide. Ignorant men think of body as a self. Bodily connection with others as accepted as kinsmanship. This is actually Srimad Bhagavatam verse. The land in which the body is obtained is the object of worship. Formalities of religious rituals are considered as ends in themselves. Social work, nationalism, altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. Materially designated persons. Under the spell of such designation, they're always busy in material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth. So they are not interested. It's a myth. Bewildered person may even be engaged in primary moral principles of life as non-violence, similarly materially benevolent work. So a person in knowledge can see all this. You see, Prabhupada can see all this and he's showing it to us. Not this, not this, not this, not this. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. And this is another thing for tolerance. But I'm saying that we cannot be left alone. We are not Prabhupada who can travel for 28 days all alone and be all alone in a foreign land. None of us should ever be alone. We cannot be alone in our practice of Krishna consciousness. None of us should ever be alone. None of us. I was listening to one. Anyway, let me finish and I'll tell where this is coming from. But men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than Lord because they understand the purpose, so they take a risk. You see, there is an offense, the 9th offense to holy name, to instruct the faithless person regarding the glories of the chanting Hare Krishna. So, generally, don't instruct anyone. But Prabhupada said that we take risk. On behalf of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we take risk. That even though they are bewildered, even though they are not interested, we still go them. Prabhupada did that. Prabhupada came to America and made people, whoever he came in touch with, Krishna conscious. And they became also. Chintamani stone. Whoever touched Prabhupada became Krishna conscious. This is Narad Muni's quality. Right? Prabhupada did that. He took the risk. So we must also take the risk. But at the same time, have your inner circle. Have your inner circle where you can go back and recharge yourself with Krishna consciousness. You have to be fully charged. Your battery needs to be charged. And then we go out and then we spread and then we come back and we charge ourselves again. Okay. I will look up this verse. Kalatra Deshu Samadeshu. I'm forgetting this. This is verse. This all Prabhupada is writing. This is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Where person thinks that, I think it's in 7th canto, that I am born of this particular land. This is my particular family. And these are the people that I am supposed to be with. And the land where I'm born is the object of worship. And Vedic knowledge is all in all. Or rituals is all in all, not Vedic knowledge. Ritual is all in all. So very deep verses today. We studied that what are the symptoms of a Vimudhatma. We also studied the symptoms of a Tattvavit. We also studied Krishna says 2 times that don't unsettle them. Don't find fault. Save yourself first. I am also being very, very tolerant. So cultivate the same thing. Don't find. But then just try to see where, first of all, if you can try to engage them by by setting up an example. Do that. If you cannot, then just practice your Krishna consciousness silently. But for us, we need to understand what is what. Okay. So we will finish at verse 29. Anyone has any questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So Harshita is going to read 2.12, right? Harshita, you're going to read 2.12?
Yes. Yes, Mataji, definitely.
Okay. Yes, Vidisha Mataji.
Mataji, can you really guide me about how to recharge ourselves, because of this COVID and non-COVID times, sometimes I am failing, so I'm not feeling good, as I have told you earlier. So somewhere I'm feeling I'm lacking somewhere. So it's just a personal question, so I thought I'll ask.
No, we all go through this, Mataji. When we go out, I am telling you, when I go to temple and I'm serving the deities, I'm chanting and I'm with the devotees, it's completely a different air. And when I come out and I go to work, it's like, oh, I feel so less in energy, so tired. But in temple, we are working 18 hours, 19 hours and nothing. And then we sleep and then we get up again. So actually, how do we recharge ourselves is we have to have an association of devotees, both kinds, who are friends with us and who are elevated than us. Then only we can go out and preach to people who are, inferior to us. There are three kinds, right? Actually, the Madhyam Adhikari sees four things. One is that person who they can be friend with, equal. They see innocent people who are sincerely looking for knowledge. Then they see spiritually elevated people or devotees, and they also see the ignorant and atheistic or envious of Krishna. So four kind of people we see. How do we recharge? We recharge ourselves by associating with two categories. One is who are our peers, who are our friends on our level, and another is who is superior to us. Now, how do we do it now? Well, right now we are in a circle where we are all equal. So this is a friend circle. This is your equal. Superior, you must hear Srila Prabhupada every day. Between the sunrise and sunset, and not even a day should pass when the Prabhupada Bani hasn't gone in your ears. It should not.
Okay, I'll do that, Mataji. Thank you so much.
And
Hare Krishna.
you have a group inside this group, right? Like Damodar group. They are
Yes,
like
Mataji, I have. But because of Mataji, I am in the hospital, so I hardly get time because it's at 3 o'clock. My hospital ends by 5, 6. So sometimes I miss those association. So this few days I am lacking somewhere. I could feel that, but I'm not getting that push. I don't know. It's my fault. I know that. So I was thinking I'd ask.
I think you can choose to criticize yourself, but that's fine. But then it's not going to lead. It's not going to lead anywhere. So
yes, Mataji.
Your problem, then the solution is then. Oh, this is interesting point actually. Let's say that somebody. This is interesting. I'm going to bring up this point now. Let's say that somebody is wants to cook for the devotees. Okay? But they sincerely want to cook for the devotees. But they're not good in cooking. So what should they do? Should they stop cooking? No, actually their purification lies in that activity. Go on trying again and again and again. Go on learning. Similarly, right now I may not be getting any taste in chanting. So what should I do? Sit down and don't chant? No, keep chanting. Keep doing the same activity and then it'll polish and it'll come out.
Okay.
Mataji, you have to hear Prabhupada every day. Our enthusiasm goes down because we don't hear Prabhupada.
I'll do that, Mataji. From tomorrow, I'll do. Thank you, Mataji.
Why not today?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do it. Okay, Mataji, I'll do it today. Okay.
Prabhupada, I was listening to him yesterday. He said, trust no future, however it may be.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mataji, I have a similar issue with myself. Well, how do you overcome, means like when we read all these things, we understand, we keep it in our head. Then somehow as we go back to our material world, as you said, we forget how to keep staying with this knowledge.
First is that I need to have a desire that I want to keep it. Half of the problem is that I forget because I don't want, I'm not, okay, this is one activity. There is a church near where I live, and on the church, every Monday, they put a new quote of Bible outside. So when I'm driving, I can read. And if I can't read, then I tell my children, read and tell me what's written. Gayatri Mataji, we can stop the recording. So this week, the quote was, remembering God is more than